and it was really very privilege for me to listening all our eminent speaker before me. So thank you very much. It's really a good in the beginning of this year, and we can see from last year we are everybody locked down, many problems due to COVID-19. And COVID-19, you see, this is the virus that we cannot see. And if you can see by weight, it's less than milligram. And so a small virus, living thing, everybody is in danger. Everybody talking about vaccine. We need to have research. This vaccine is working. That vaccine is not working. This is the this is the indication that how education is important and how research is important for any country. What the like country like India where we have many diversity, south to north to east to west, many culture, many language. To manage this country is not easy at all. But altogether, one thing is very important that when we go to a school where we study like a subject with social sciences, physics, chemistry. But sometimes when we study with the experiment, like suppose if you are doing the research and study together, believe that is scientifically also it is proved that will be in memory, that will be in your memory for a long time. So my only wish that the new education policy that is going to implement, it's of course it is challenging to our country. It is going to reform and bringing a scientific environment from very beginning from our school education. Hope that our government will be managed to give the money to have a good infrastructure in the school, because this is really a big problem, because all of our speakers were also saying the same that okay, in the urban area we are fine, but what about in the rural area? We don't have enough infrastructure in the school. How we are going to bring the laboratory, how we are going to connect that school to a urban school to international way. So there are many challenges, but altogether, even though in our country we have many challenges, but uh, because as for my experience, because I was a postdoctoral scientist outside country for more than 4 years, and I have seen that how Indian people are recognized throughout the world, not in India, because even we have the older education system, and due to our teachers, due to our education system, we are really have a good credential student who are sitting on top of many states in Australia, in the US, in the Canada. This is just due to our teachers and our education that we have in our country. One thing that anywhere if you go in the world, when the people see that you are from India, and then they know that okay, this is a person from India, he must be well trained mathematician, well trained the science, because even we have many problems, we have plenty of problems, but the talent, the education that our country educate, we should feel proud that we are Indian. Any policy that is coming, because everything come from the government, because everyone is living under a umbrella of a government. This is our duty to follow the if rules is coming from any government, because education and the politics should be two different domain. There should be no mixing up. Education is education. The politicians are politicians. We are in the different domain. Our job is to do the education. Now the government is bringing a new education policy. This is a challenging in the rural area. There will be plenty of problem, but my wish is that it's going to be success to bring a new scientific domain to the country to reach at a high climax point. That's my point. I am ready to listen for next hour speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. Certainly, India has achieved a lot. Though that is debatable, could we achieve more or not? But certainly, we have achieved a lot. And with this, I would request Mr. Luke Masato. Luke, you represent that art side of education, and this policy has mentioned music. In fact, more than 20 times. So I believe that is the area which excites me most. So we can have your perspective. How do you see national education policy, Luke?
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, everybody else. I believe I'm the last speaker for the day, so I'm going to try and keep this really brief and short. I wish, no, I'm supposed to be speaking about music. I wish I had an instrument over here to play for all of you, maybe a song, but I do not have anything right now. I will just present a short presentation very quickly about what we do and what we represent as Furtado School of Music. So just allow me to do that. One more. Okay. Yes. So I am from Furtado School of Music. Take care of quality. I also write the curriculum for the Western vocals. So we have different verticals in terms of we have different instruments in place, which is your guitar, your piano, percussion, rhythm, vocals, Hindustani vocals, Carnatic vocals, Indian vocals, Western vocals. So my main role over here is basically to ensure that one of the verticals, the Western vocals, the curriculum is always in touch. In it's always going on time with what students want. They don't get bored. It's fun for them, as well as at the same time to impart that whole academic value, so that it's not just fun, but they are learning something productive with it. Because in a class of, let's say, 30 students, if you will have 20 students, 22 students who are enjoying it for fun, but you will always have those 7 to 8 students who are looking at it with a slightly more serious angle, who probably want to take it up as a hobby. And you might also find somebody in that class who will say, you know what, I think I can make a career out of this. So just getting this, understanding this whole perspective, which is why we have gone ahead and we have taken this very seriously. We take music very seriously. We take teaching very seriously, performing very seriously. So we collaborate with a lot of people to make sure that this works out very well for us. So here, just briefly, I'll take you through what we are. We have, as you can see, the company is quite old. There's a lot of legacy. We also deal with a lot of music instruments as well, because we were the first institute. We were the first music company to basically import music instruments from outside. And we are also encouraging music instruments to be made, within the country itself. Just a little bit of our touch points across the country. We have quite a few schools, as you can see, quite a few centers, learning institutes where students can come in. Of course, at this point, since institutes are closed, we have moved online. These are just a few of the schools that we are partnering with. So some of these schools are really top notch. However, we also partner, we also spread the joy of music to even the most rural of rural schools. So you might have, a top school maybe in the, in the suburbs of Bombay, whereas you might have, we also have schools that are, let's say, in the rural villages of, let's say, Telangana, that are learning the same curriculum. And those students that are learning in the village are actually studying the same curriculum as what you might find somebody, sitting in a posh school in Delhi or in Bombay. Because the whole point being, music does not need, it's literally the easiest. It's a very universal language. So anyone sitting anywhere can learn this. So that's what connects. That is what connecting students and people across our institute at least. Once the school comes on board with us, we offer a range of platforms, which includes a national platform where students can come and they can display their talent, and we audition them. And of course, they get a chance to actually go in front of a very large crowd in order to do this. And here's where I would really encourage, our leaders, our principals, to give that fighting chance to a student who wants to go ahead and showcase his artistic side. Just a little bit of what we do, our curated events. We have workshops, we have training, we have a lot of exams in place. recitals, concerts also. We also get musicians, we also get celebrities down to your school where they can have a one-on-one session with the students, because a lot can be learned with just a 45-minute session with a student, with a bunch of students listening to, somebody talking to them about what they have been through in order to reach that particular level, especially for the artistic side students who are really wanting to go ahead and make arts their, their special, their career choice. They need people, they need real life people to come and tell them what they did, what were the challenges that they encountered to reach that particular level. Because honestly, you don't have an institute in the country, in India right now, that can actually tell you, you need to cross these many levels and then you will get, let's say, the equivalent of a doctor's position, or maybe an IIM or an IIT, and then you can join a TCS or something similar. So you don't have that career path in place. So here's where FSM comes into picture, because we have worked with so many celebrities and they have told us what are the challenges that they have faced. So this is basically, we have reached online as everybody else. A lot of classes happening online, a lot of action happening online, both in schools as well as solo students as well. And yeah, just a little bit about our curriculum. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a very robust curriculum, right from a child who is just starting out to learn and who has been put in, by their parents, just for the form of entertainment, right up to a graduate or an adult who wants to take it up a little seriously, or maybe even just as a hobby. Yes, this is a typical setup of a keyboard room. So, right, at least until last year, this was what it was. Of course, things are going to change from the new year. And however, if you look at a particular setup, an instrument setup, this is what you would find: one student per instrument, where we would give the teacher, we would give the instruments, we would also give them the material. Training would be from our end as well. So we take care of it completely. And of course, when it also comes to your special days, you have your Grandfather's Day, your Founders Day, Yoga Day, Music Day, all these events that happen in school. In fact, at this point right now, with all the schools that we are working with, we are actually executing one event per month with all our schools, and it is all online. There's no, as we know, it's all online. So we are making the videos, we are getting footage from students, we are shooting it, we are recording their audios, the videos, combining it, and then we are presenting it to the parents. And it's a real pleasure for the parents to see their own child, oh, okay, this is what they have learned, and this is my ward who is singing over there, and efforts have been taken for my child. So that's a good thing over there. Yeah, this is the end of it. I'll just end my presentation with a short video. Just let me know if you can see it. Just one moment. Yes. Thank you very much, Rajaji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Luke. For suggesting and telling us how music can increase our efficiency. Big thanks. The time for the questions. We have received many questions. Big thanks once again all the speakers for joining, and for sharing your respective perspective. And in the end, I would say that as everyone of like all of us has have agreed upon that this document promise light at the tunnel. But as Pramosa said that that is true that this document promises hope and light at the end of the tunnel. But the question is how we are going to reach the end of the tunnel. We in a collaborative way we need to create a vehicle so that we can reach the end of the tunnel sooner. So big thanks once again. Before I start presenting questions to you, I'll take a minute in explaining what exactly we all are doing at School Lalaji Solutions. Immediately after that, we'll start presenting questions. I'll present my screen here. Some of you are already aware, the kind of services we are offering at School Lalaji Solutions. We are India's largest one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are currently present in 42 cities, working with somewhere around 4,500 institutions. We help institutions in three different ways. We help institutions in buying right thing from right people at right price. We also help institutions in selling their old items like their old buses, generators, their furniture. If they want to sell that to other institutions. We also help institutions in raising money, that maybe in terms of loan or in terms of fee financing. Why there is a need for a platform like School Lalaji Solutions when you have old supplier, your team is expert, you already getting good discount, your team is efficient. The one big challenge in Indian education, I would say the ecosystem is there are tens of thousands of new educational companies are coming up with wonderful product and services, wonderful features. But one big challenge is that it is becoming more and more difficult for educational leaders, the decision makers, among educational institutions to meet all those companies, to explore different products available, to explore different services available. Just to example, in fact, in India, there are more than 200 coding companies. 15 plus companies have also received funding. So how to reach out to the good companies for our institution, for our students? That's a challenge. Here we come in. We understand your school, we understand your taste, we understand your actual requirement, and accordingly we filter companies, we negotiate with them, and then we recommend those companies to you. We are helping institutions in different areas, like we are helping in smart classroom procurement, uniform, insurance, diesel. Yes, we are delivering diesel at the doorstep of a school, cheaper than the market price. Solar plant, language labs, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, and finance. And we take the guarantee that will save at least 5 to 7% of your annual expenditure. That's kind of a 5 to 7% additional revenue generation. One example, only in 2019 we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees for different institutions in bus insurance category only. These are some major highlights: 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classrooms, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training programs we had organized, 56 old buses we sold from one school to uniform in 42 schools. So by the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, guidance, and blessings. So with this, I would start, presenting questions. I would request Pramosa if we can, present this first question to you. So this question is very direct, and I believe you're the best person to respond on this. This question has, come from Miss Neha Chauhan. Neha ji has asked if you can categorically, share the three major areas where you see a huge change post this NEP implementation.
Well, Neha, I definitely would like to see a huge change in pre-primary education, but you already understand that it is stuck in Anganwadi. Anganwadi is more of a nutrition program than education program. So when the pre-primary education gets the proper importance, I'm sure it will bring in a huge change. I may clarify, I did not support, I was misunderstood that I am supporting uh, profiteering in private schools. All I was mentioning was private schools should be allowed to function, and the NEP does not give them the freedom to function independently. They have to function through management committee, and the constitution of managing committee is very stifling. So that kind of freedom I was advocating. I'm really looking forward to uh, that each subject will have two levels. So you can have maths, which is a standard level, and an advanced level. Because it was absurd to teach maths, the same maths, to people who wanted to become engineers and scientists, and same maths to people who wanted to do a BCom. So two different maths levels are definitely required, and they are NEP is talking about two different levels in all the subjects, which is a very welcome change. And the compartmentalized education in India, for example, science and commerce and the streams that we have been talking about, when these streams get broken and the other subjects from liberal arts also get introduced, I think the education will be all round. So there are plenty of positives here. There is no doubt about it. This multilingualism will also benefit children immensely. Uh, just one doubt. 2 years back, before the pandemic, we were telling children that screen time exposes you to radiation. We were telling parents, don't allow children to come to the screen. And now nobody is talking about that. In 4 months, 6 months' time, all that is going to change. We'll again talk about radiation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a very valid point, Pramod sir. That's a very valid point. You know, things change with the time. So our priority also. Thank you. We'll come back to you, sir. Now I would request Arpit ji. Arpit ji, this question has come from Mr. Madhur Gupta. Madhur ji is principal CBSE with Genesis Global School Noida. Madhur ji has asked how to align the school curriculum with higher education without much of gaps, with which ensures the young generation job security in the field of their interest.
Thank you very much for the question. Honestly speaking, this is something which I have been working on personally myself. I guess the onus rests particularly on school leaders and the management themselves to figure out what they feel is important for their children going forward. As far as the curriculums go, I've been exploring. I think CBSE by itself has started offering multitude of courses in terms of artificial intelligence, data analytics. We've got robotics, we've got things like analytics and all that going. And by itself, it's on us to figure out where these courses are available. Like I mentioned, the Atal Innovation Mission is really supportive in providing to us some futuristic curriculums and courses, which we've been implementing ourselves quite passionately. Somewhere you've got to maintain that fine line into ensuring that, yes, you cover the curriculum, whichever board that you may be following, but by itself make your students absolutely skill ready in terms of the jobs of tomorrow, as well as the courses that are available for them to pursue. So to be honest, this year we did a virtual summer camp where we were offering students the opportunity to pursue courses like digital marketing, web designing, graphics, which can be pursued easily on free of cost platforms like Canva and so on. Adobe is offering a multitude of design-based courses. We've been doing Plesmo, which is a very good platform again for students to learn coding and make their own game-based platforms and all that. So by itself, yes, there are a lot of third parties which are offering these courses. It's entirely dependent on us. How we integrate them as part of our curriculum. And my personal opinion is that we are all duty bound to ensure that students are not only prepared for the higher education and the courses that are evolving, but also the jobs that may be evolving tomorrow.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Arpit ji. Suptika ji, I would request if you can take on this question. This has been asked by Roop Lakshmi ji. She's a faculty with Genesis Global School, Noida. Rupa
Yeah, yeah.
Lakshmi ji has asked, this NEP has proposed flexibility in terms of subject selection. So her question is how subject choices going to help students for higher studies and how universities are going to grade them.
Yeah, it's really important because subject choices, it is so important because the students, if they have interest in a particular subject and if they choose that for higher studies, definitely they will go further with that, and they can sustain their interest in that subject. So that facility should be given to the students, and I think that liberal arts, adding liberal arts, as sir said, Pramod sir said, it's a very good option. We can always try for that, because I've seen in the West, in America, they have liberal arts colleges, and it really widens the horizon of their knowledge, or knowledge of the students. So we can give it a try, and we can take it very seriously. And subject choices are always important, because the students they have the right to choose their subjects for further studies, and that should be given to them. And that is the way we can help them. And mentoring is very important. Sometimes students are misled. Sometimes they think that intelligent students should always go for sciences. It is a myth. I know it personally, that the IAS civil servants of our country, mostly they choose to study, humanities, to clear their exams, to clear their interviews. And even, the aspirants, they're coming from IITs or IIMs, they choose art subjects, to clear their IAS exam. So it is a fact. If you go to the UPSC website and you seek the information that how many are coming from humanities background, you'll see that so many of them. So it's a myth. It is not really true that the science students only have the brains and others they don't have. Actually, we need to have good mentoring in every school, and I've been stressing on this point that every school should have this mentoring service. The mentor teachers should be there, who will be knowledgeable about the trend, about the facilities available, about the scholarships available, about
But the
the
question was, Suptika ji, question is another part. How universities are going to grade them. For example, if one student have chosen chemistry, economics, and music,
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
how universities are
that
going
is
to
that
select
is
them.
why I said the liberal arts, liberal arts, adding liberal arts in colleges, along with science subjects, along with other niche subjects, they'll get a chance to study the arts also. Arts will, broaden up the outlook. Art subjects, they have that quality. So the universities should have, more wider choices, should provide wider choices to the students, and that is possible with planning and
Right,
organization. It's absolutely possible.
right, right. Thank you, Suptika ji. Jaswinder sir, I would request if you can take on this question. This has been asked by Miss Shanu Sharma. She's a TGT history with the Genesis Global School, Noida. Shanuji has asked, how will NEP 2020 bridge the gap of native languages and English as medium of instruction in middle schools or higher classes? Also, I have another, part of this question. As Kunalji, said during its conversation that NEP, many people believe that this NEP would dilute the importance of English. So, how do you see English as a language, post NEP implementation? You're on mute. You are mute, Jaswinder sir.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So there are two parts. So I'll start with the first one. We're talking about how will local language compete with English as a language when you're talking about language of delivery. Is that right, Rajulji? Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
first point is, let me explain to you. The child, if he's from that particular state, he's already good at that local language. So the child need not worry about how to bring it up or how to acquire understand the teaching which is being delivered. Okay. And if the students, they are given English as a subject right from the beginning, then there are two languages that the child is getting up. Okay, so I'm sure almost everybody in this country speaks two languages, so it is not difficult to acquire the second language. So I don't see that there's ever going to be one language shadowing the other language. Okay, provided they are given right from the beginning, like what RPG talked about, that or I think it was some other service talked about. They said that if English is brought in sixth standard, no, that is incorrect. You can't bring a new language at that age. That new language should be there right from class one or maybe preschool. So if we have multiple languages right from the preschool, I don't think this challenge will be there. Second, talking about um, will English lose its importance? I don't think so. This entire policy is to make India a Vishwaguru. Now, the language of the world is English, so we all need to know this language and we need to acquire this language. Your core subjects, say like your math and science, can be taught in your home language. What about history? What about geography? What about other things? They can be taught in English. So kids can take it up, one important thing. So I don't see that English losing anything. Again, like one of the previous speakers said, that a lot of parents say कि जो तकलीफ हमें हुई हमारे बच्चों को नहीं होनी चाहिए, that is why they spend more money and go to English medium schools. Yes, that is going to be there. Everybody knows that English is not going to lose its importance. So schools and parents both should and will focus on both the languages. In fact, we are talking about three language system. So there's going to be a third language also. I also take this opportunity to tell all the participants that we NEP talks about cultural language. NEP talks about Sanskrit. We've realized the importance of Sanskrit, and I'll be happy to tell you that we are the first company in the world to have developed a Sanskrit language lab, which we have already implemented in 374 Kendriya Vidyalayas, and the other total 1100 Kendriya Vidyalayas are going to get that lab. So what we have done is, when we started working on Sanskrit as a language, I personally never liked Sanskrit. I opted out of Sanskrit when I was studying. But when my team was making it, I realized it is such a scientific language. You know, uh, the spellings of a word, there's a formula why something comes after the other thing. It is the most technical language. That is why I say that Sanskrit helps you code better. So if they're talking about teaching coding at this thing, let them also, they are going to say Sanskrit from 6th standard or 5th standard. So that's something good. So each language has its own importance. And let me tell you one thing, language teaches you culture. Any language you take up, you acquire a language properly, you become culturally more informed and better. So I don't see any of this thing. There can be three languages, there can be four languages. Actually, kids can acquire five
Great.
languages till a
Thank
certain
you.
age. So that should not be a problem.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Kunalji ji, I would request if you can take on this question. In fact, this has been a very regular question to our sessions. This NEP proposes vocational education for schools, for school students. And many people have asked this question, how schools are going to arrange trainers, for those vocational courses if one student chooses something. So many people have suggested that polytechnics, ITIs can come into the picture and they can, share that platform and resources. So I would request if you can suggest something, how that kind of, system can be worked out. Kunalji.
Thank you, sir. As you have said that polytechnics and ITIs should take a front lead in skilling the students, because in today's scenario, the world is multi-skilled people for multi-skilled who have a multi-skill in their attributes. Because earlier we used to say that you should be skilled in a particular field, but now the scenario changes. You should be multi-skilled. As one said, that one should know something about everything and everything about something. This is the new scenario in today's globalization. So there is lot of things what polytechnics and ITI should do for the nation. But one thing is that there are a lot of trainers should be hired. And before that, lot of persons should be trained to train the other students. So according to me, it will be the need of the hour that multi-skilled students should be there, because in today's scenario, the main drawback in our education system is that we are skilled in a particular field and that a particular field stops, then he is nowhere for the employment. So polytechnics and ITIs should play a vital role, but they should be equipped with well staffed, well trained, because nowadays I am also from a polytechnic stream, but in today's scenario lot of colleges are not having the staff. That is the main scenario. So we should take this utmost important thing, that his staff should be adequate, as we are seeing that lot of polytechnics, lot of engineering colleges are opening day by day. But the main problem is that ki earlier colleges that are in present, we are not giving them proper infrastructure. So according to me, first we should give the proper infrastructure to the presenting institutes. Then only we go for the other institutes.
Right.
So multi-skill is important and need of the hour. Thank you, sir.
Right. Right. So you're saying certainly a polytechnic can provide the resources to schools if they are given resources to provide those resources.
Yeah, exactly. Because even the polytechnics don't have the resources for their own students. How can they
Right, sir.
provide the skill training to
And
the
that,
other
that is what
students?
promoter, that is what promoter has been highlighting, that the point, the suggestions are good, but the resources would be challenges. Right. So with this, I would request
Thank you.
Dr. Pandey, if you can take on this question. This has been asked by Mr. Prateek Sharma, Academic Coordinator and HOD Commerce Department, Genesis Global School, Noida. Prateek ji has asked, through the NEP, would be really able to attract Indian students for taking admissions in Indian universities instead of foreign universities? If I try to rephrase this question, at one side we are saying this NEP would strengthen our Indian institutions. So at the same side, we are also inviting foreign universities, to start their campuses in India. So do you think NEP would strengthen Indian institutions enough that the students from our country would take admission or would prefer Indian institutions?
Yeah, uh, thank you very much. It's a really good question. So the answer of this question is right now, because I am a faculty, I got a letter from a student from France. This is my personal experience that I am sharing. He has written email that saying that I want to do my doctorate degree under you in your university. Okay, so what is happening right now in our country? New education policy is just at the very basic ground. Whatever education system we have right now, except few countries like a developed country, there are many countries like even in my university, there are a student from Sudan, there are a student from Nepal, neighbor country, there are a student from some South Africa country. The students are trying, they are applying to come to India. They know the talent and the education system in our country. And I am very much sure that after coming to new education policy, because that is, of course, it will take time. It is a time-taking process that will certainly change the global perspective thinking about the Indian education system. And we will get more international students in our academic system.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Now I would request Luke, the last question for the day to you. Luke, you represent that art side of education. How do you see the evolution of art education post NEP implementation? Luke.
Yes, thank you. Post the NEP implementation, the art education would actually definitely be evolved towards the positive side, because here we would have students who are inclined towards the arts and music to have a slightly more robust curriculum. See, because if there is so much of stress being given by the education departments themselves, that means schools will also have to begin to hire better teachers, and if not hire better teachers, then at least improve the training as well as get more robust curriculum in place. So at the end of the day, it is definitely a step forward. And somebody like me, if we have to go into, if I have to study music, then I don't need to wait till after the 12th standard to pick up really strong academic content. I can pick this up from the school itself, while I'm in my 4th or the 5th standard. That is where I will be able to definitely hone and academically grow a little better in music. See, because in music you cannot. A lot of musicians in India right now. In fact, I would say 95% of musicians in India, they only work according to their ears. They're able to hear the music and they play. There is very little academic content. So that might change. So because of this new policy, there will be a little more of theory in place. There will be, there's theory, there's a little bit of technique that will come in place. So because of this, it's going to be a good blend. Management, a little more lucrative study in it. Right? So we are actually happy about this. As a music institute, we are definitely very happy about this.
Right. Thank you, Luke. So with this, we come to the concluding part of this session. So before I request our speakers for their concluding remarks, we have received, one question in the chat box. Pramod sir, I would request if I can present this question to you. Rupa Lakshmi ji has, mentioned that in new education policy, we see plans for brain development, but are there any provision for reducing brain drain? Pramod sir, do you see any provision in NEP for reducing brain drain? You are on mute, sir. Pramod sir, you are on mute.
I don't, frankly, I don't see any special provision to reduce brain drain, but definitely when the quality of education will improve in this country, uh, people will not like to go outside and more people will be retained in. Though I firmly believe that uh, all that brain which got drained earlier came back to India, a lot of it with the value addition. So it's not all that bad. The world is shrinking and people are moving around. So one shouldn't worry about brain drain so much uh, there. And I think, as one person said, that we cannot wait. This has to happen now. We don't have a choice.
Can I add one small thing to the participant? This brain drain has actually given us a lot of foreign exchange. That has given. If we talk about huge repository of
Yeah.
foreign exchange, it is because of that.
Right.
Okay,
And
please,
fame
please.
also. And fame also. We Indians are always at the top, you know. So that reputation is very important, very, it's priceless.
I would request our speakers if we can have one concluding remarks from you. Also, we have established one very interesting practice.
You're not audible.
Request our speakers for your concluding remark. Also, we have established one practice. If we can, if you become the Minister of Education of our country, what would be your that priority? What would be your idea which you would like to implement? In your tenure for one day of Minister of Education. So I would request Arpit ji, we can begin with you. Pramod sir will come to you at the end. You deserve to be the Minister of Education. I'm sure. So we'll take your thoughts in a collective way. Arpit ji, I'll begin with you. Your concluding remark and what would you do if you become a one-day Minister of Education?
Um, I mean, to be honest, I think we've heard almost everything that can possibly be changed and implemented. But to be honest, like the NEP also mentions, I would focus on the teachers. I think from my little experience that I have been in the education space, I genuinely feel that we have a lot of untrained staff, teachers having lackluster approach and lack of passion more than anything else to be in a space like this. And of course, the NEP has made some landmark provisions to make sure that we do not have what I keep calling teachers by default. So I would genuinely focus and get in more quality staff, which I've heard quite often being discussed on this panel, and also making sure that the whole nuance of continuous professional development is not just on paper or not just for formality, but is in sync with the times that we live in, and it is actually implemented and yields value. So that is all that I would focus on. And once we have good teachers, passionate teachers, I think the rest will take care of itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Arpit ji. You would focus on teachers training and teachers development. Thank you. Now I would request Luke, if I can come to you. I would select people randomly, so you cannot prepare your answer. Right. So Luke, it's your turn. Your concluding remark, and what would you do as if you become one day education minister? You know, for one day only.
For one day only. Okay, thank you so much. So in terms of the education policy, as I said earlier, we are very happy about this. And in fact, our biggest question was we all know the merits of music. We know the positive effects that we have on music. So why haven't they been included as yet? Maybe it's probably, it's not an institutionalized approach towards, maybe that's why, maybe it's just too random, or I personally feel that the approach towards this has not been very institutionalized. So if I were the education minister for a day, then I would definitely want to focus on creating structures and processes a little better to implement such courses which need to be implemented a little better, because mainstream courses anyway are mainstream. The channel for a mainstream course is nice and big, and even if it goes wrong anywhere, the channel is anyway big. But something that is not mainstream, the channel is very small. If there's a bottleneck, it will get stuck there. So for that one day, I will ensure that that small channel for a off stream is widened a little bit. And
सर
there is
आपको एक दिन तो अपने ऑफिसर्स को समझाने में लग जाएगा कि आप क्या चाह रहे हैं उनसे.
अभी
सर, ये एक दिन में नहीं हो पाएगा. Right. Thank you, Luke. I would request Kunal ji, if we can have your concluding remarks, and what would be your priority if you become a one day days education minister.
नहीं, as you already said that एक दिन में तो समझने में ही लग जाएगा सारा का सारा, तो I will just sit and relax and enjoy the seat for a one day. And another thing, if I get more time, then I will, before implementing the policies, I would focus on providing the infrastructure in every field. That's my point.
Right. Thank you. That was very honest, sir. Thank you, Kunal ji. Now I would request Suptika ma'am. Your concluding remark, and what would be your priority?
My priority again will be on ECCE and ECCE. I would like to see, if I am a minister or a prime minister, I would like to see that ECC is made compulsory. It should be brought under Right to Education Act. It should be made compulsory and should be compulsorily attached to each and every formal school. So that is my dream, and that is my mission also. I have written books on ECC. You can find it in Google if you give a search. And I am dedicated to ECC, and I will always advocate for ECC till my
Right.
last breath.
Thank you.
So much. And one more thing, Rajuji. I would like to see more equality on a platform like this. I have seen, so far only men are speaking, and I'm the only women speaker.
आप सबके ऊपर भारी है मैम.
No, you make the change next time. There should be equality, and that should be the priority. Our men have
No.
been ruling, for so many thousands of years, but now
I'll do one thing. I'll share the posters of previous events, ma'am.
Yes, there are more women there.
yes.
If we have organized 75 sessions, if we have
sorry,
organized,
I have failed to see that, but anyway, it should be the priority.
absolutely. In fact, we have been fortunate enough that 70% female school leaders have joined our sessions. We have been fortunate enough. Big thank you. This is a very valid point, ma'am, and we all must make I would say effort in that direction. Thank you, Suptika ji. Now I would request Jaswindra sir, before I go to Pramod sir. So your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you become Minister of Education?
I will say that I would first want to give a little information to Suptika ma'am. Ma'am, Gujarat has implemented Children's University. If you can go find out, they are trying to do what exactly you want to do. Please have a look at it. Though it has not been able to do much, but they are trying to do something. They have a Children's University in Gujarat. Yeah. Okay. So now coming on to my concluding remarks, I would say great thing to happen. We look forward that if not us, if not our kids, their kids should benefit with what is being done now. We need to look at what happens next. We need to keep a positive note. We need to keep our fingers crossed, but we also need to do a lot. Talking about languages, I would propose to everybody, please have your children learn or know, acquire as many languages as possible. They will only become culturally better and brain wise smarter to think. So that is one thing. Coming on to what will I do if I become the education minister? I've always said one thing: I would want teachers to be the first citizens of this country. We need to value them, and if we give them value, the best of teachers or best of people would join us as teachers. What happened to teachers during this pandemic? We all know that they were all at the receiving end, right? So that's something that I would want to talk about. But I would also want to use this opportunity, use this platform to bring in something that I'm trying to work on. I'm on a mission, which is something very, very important. It concerns all of us. You know, a doctor writes DR in front of his name as a prefix. An engineer writes ER. A CA writes CA. Why can we not write something else? So I'm going to propose something. Just if you give me a minute, I'm going to share a screen, and I'll be happy if you all could also help me promote this. Can you see this screen, everybody?
Yes, sir. We can
Yeah,
see
can
your
you
screen.
see this? So why can't we have an ED written? Why can't we be um, proud of what we do?
Very nice.
So I would want all of you to help
Nice
me.
idea.
I'm trying to get the thank you, ma'am. I'm trying to get the uh, some system. I don't know where do they register this. There's something in my mind because I've personally trained 25,000 teachers in my lifetime. Okay, on the usage of a software, how to deliver that, how to do this, and I find that they're there. Somebody needs to recognize them other than their own students. The society needs to recognize them, and let's have this. Help me in promoting this. Thank you for the opportunity, Rajuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir. And with this, I come to the Pramod sir. Pramod sir, your concluding remark, or what would be your priority if you become Minister of Education? Also, I would suggest if we can conclude the session with your blessings and your words of wisdom for all of us. Pramod sir, over to you.
I will support what Arpit said right in the beginning, that the best part of NEP is emphasis on teachers' education and teacher training. That is what is most important in this country. And there has to be much more investment uh, into teacher training. The current B.Ed courses and the current standalone B.Ed colleges. If I'm the minister, I will do surgery and stop them immediately, because unless you remove something rotten, new things will not come up. And force all the public uh, funded universities, all the universities which take funds from the government, for them to start the B.Ed course in the multidisciplinary college or university which NEP proposes. So that is what I will do. Do surgery first, and then obviously the new muscle mass will come in and new growth will take place. Healthy. I firmly believe in the fact that if plenty of people think that if you have spent money on teachers' education and on teacher training, and the teacher leaves, then all the money has gone down the drain. But somebody said that if the teacher is trained, and if teacher is not trained and does not leave, then what happens?
Exactly.
So with
Exactly.
this thought, I will like to close and wish you all a very happy and new normal 2021.
Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
With this,
Same to you,
we
sir.
end the session here. Big thanks to all of you. Big thanks, Pramod sir, Arpit ji, Jaswinder sir, Luke,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Pandey, Kunal ji, Suptika ma'am. Big thanks to all of you. We end the session here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.